notes here. I just want to leave it open and see what came through from your higher self and your guide team. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I do have a lot of notes that we're going to go over that I got from your higher self, but I did want to ask if there is anything that is creating any challenges or impediments on your spiritual awakening journey right now, because I did come across a few of them that are creating some difficulties with our channeling from what I can see. So do you have any more information on what that might be for you right now?
Um, Trying to think.
Or maybe where you're at right now and where you're trying to get to.
Yeah, um I feel like I'm not done like healing and at all, but like I feel like I'm starting to get close to figuring out my next steps
Mhm.
of what I'm supposed to do. And I just have been having a hard time kind of getting a clear picture of what comes next and how to move forward. And I just feel a little stuck in some of the I feel stuck in some of the things I'm doing now, if that makes sense. So I don't
Oh,
know if that
absolutely.
is like a block, like kind of what you're sensing as a block. Also my spirit guides are very kind of weird.
Okay.
Uh, sorry.
No,
My
it's
friend
good.
tries to do readings for me all the time and she goes, "Your spirit guides don't like it when other people like give you information." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Hmm.
So I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Okay. Why do you think that your spirit guides are anti other people's messages for your
Um,
share?
I kind of feel like they are like, well, you have all the information you need to be able to communicate with us yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
why are you going to other people to do that? Like,
Mm,
it's kind of like, okay, well, you've done the work, you've done the, like, we've taught you how to do this, like, then do it. Stop looking for, um, what is it? Like,
like external confirmation.
yeah, stop
Yes.
looking for the confirmation somewhere else when you already have it. And I think that's why they kind of get a little finicky with me. They're like, come on, you already know.
Okay.
Just do it.
Okay. So when you are reaching out to others for support, is this in reference to actually connecting with your spirit guides, or is this more so, hey, what am I supposed to be doing, or quote unquote, what am I supposed to be doing right now? What should I be focusing on? What should I be healing? Is it directly spirit guide connection, or is it kind of just the whole thing?
I usually just do like a general, like, hey, what is something like I need to hear right now? But like, yeah, they just don't.
Okay.
They would prefer
Generally.
direct communication. And
Okay.
I kind of keep them at bay, and I think that makes them mad.
Okay. So, and let me see what your higher self is saying. Hold on. Okay. Do you think that your spirit guides are feeling like we are not taking enough action in some areas? And because sometimes when we're reaching for outside confirmation from other persons, it's because there's like a missing link in the chain. It's we're not
Mhm.
always taking the action steps that we need to, and so things kind of feel off skew, and then the spirit guides are like, well, you have the answers, but we're not moving forward in the way that we want, so the more that you go see people, you're just going to kind of keep caught in that wheel. So is that
Yeah.
what it is, or do you think it's something else?
No, I think that's exactly what it is. I think they have certain stuff that they want me to work on, and I'm like, okay, well, I've done a lot of that, so I'm going to take a break for a minute.
Mhm.
And they don't like the stop and start. They just want it to
Like a
be
continuous flow.
continuous
Okay.
thing.
So, whatever you're comfortable talking about, okay. But what do you think right now is that missing link of action steps? Like, what exactly do you think that they want you to be working on currently? Is it something healing, or is it more so some 3D tangible action steps like towards our soul mission and our spiritual gifts? What exactly is it
Um,
that we're wanting to focus on right now?
I would like to focus on like my spiritual gifts.
Okay.
I think they want me to focus more on like getting through more shadow work and more like I've taken out a lot of those negative mindsets, those limiting beliefs, but I'm not taking the action to put new ones in. Like
Mm,
I'm having a hard time with like the worthiness of it. Like
mhm.
finding my worth, saying I'm worth this, like those kind of steps.
Okay, which might also be preventing us from taking more action steps towards our spiritual gifts and our
Yes.
soul mission. Okay, so what exactly do you want to be doing for your spiritual gifts or your soul mission? What is kind of the goal there? If we had all of the confidence in the world, what would we like to be doing?
Um, I really don't know. I think I just want to help other people on their journeys to spiritual awakening. I think that's kind of what my goal where I feel my most passion is like helping people find peace with what some of the stuff they've been dealt, but also helping them move on and getting confirmation of like, yes, you did have this sucks, but we have to move forward kind of thing.
Sure. Okay. So you're kind of in the learning phase of what you want to be helping people with too. And so
I'm
you're kind of
a
just going through the trial by
yeah,
fire right now of let me alchemize this within
yeah.
myself so I can teach people.
I'm a like a learner, I guess. I have done Reiki, like I'm a Reiki master and I've done, I just love all the healing. Like I love learning about it. So I like skipping around and being like, "Ooh, I'm going to learn about this now." And
Yes,
"Ooh, I want to learn about this and this." And yeah.
absolutely. But then there comes one day where we do have to put it into practice and make it applicable and start working
Right.
with people.
Go talk to dad. Hold on just a
Oh,
second.
you're
Do
absolutely
not
fine.
come in here. Go talk to dad now. He's out there somewhere. My kids are so obsessed with me. They're like, "Mom's in here.
Oh, we love
I
that
need to
though.
be in here too."
Relish in that though. Okay. As somebody who has a teenager now, please relish in that right now. Okay.
I love them, but sometimes I'm like, I just need 5 minutes.
Yes. One day they're gonna be like, "Oh, mom, you're not cool." Okay. So, okay.
I know that happens.
Yes. Okay. So, are we currently practicing on people?
Um, just friends.
Mm-hmm.
No, no one, like I don't charge or anything for that. I just like to help friends out. Like I did some yesterday for my friend. And on myself. I practice healing on myself, but that's about it right now. Oh, and my family members, like my
Oh, well,
children and
that's
my
great that
husband.
they're open to for you to
Mhm.
practice on them. That's a good support system. Is the goal to become a professional energy healer and practitioner, or is this something that we want to do for our own personal journey and for our family members or friends, or what does that look like for you?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet if like that's something I want to do like I guess professionally, like charge people for. I'm not sure if that I don't know. It kind of seems like there's something else. Um I don't know, and that's just a feeling I get is like it's along the lines, but like it's not just doesn't seem like that's it for me. I don't know.
Sure. So if we were going to look at what our next step would be with this, because there's something that is kind of off skew with goals right now, and it's I want to help people more
Mhm.
intentionally with maybe specifically transmuting through shadow work and helping them make forward
Mhm.
momentum and letting go of old past narratives or maybe keeping them energetically corded to old versions of themselves. So
Mhm.
What kind of capacity do you want to be doing that? Because right now it sounds like we're not fulfilling that within our soul. And if we
Mhm.
are kind of unclear whether we want to do that professionally or not, which you don't have to, but what would that look like for you to feel or feel fulfilled in that area? Like helping people in that more intentional capacity. If it's not giving sessions to people like in an energy healing session like we are now.
Um, I guess eventually I would like to do like what we're doing now.
Mhm.
It's just like I just don't feel like I don't I always feel like I don't have enough to do that. I don't have enough knowledge, I don't have enough experience, I don't have enough like I should still be learning, and I just don't have just enough knowledge, I guess, to do anything like that. And that's I would like to get to the point where I feel like I'm capable of doing that in um and I feel confident in myself.
Okay. So I'm going to talk to you energy healer to energy healer. Okay. So when I first started giving sessions to people, I also had the same sentiment, okay, that, oh, I don't know if I'm ready. And I'll be quite honest with you, every time that I level up and help a new group of persons, I feel the exact same way of, I don't know if I have enough tools or resources or enough experience. And it's just a sign of you being a very intentional person and wanting
Yeah.
to help people on a very deep level. Cause it's sacred work holding somebody's soul in your
Right.
hands or their inner children or their mind or their subconscious. So when I first started, I was dealing with a lot of anxiety and depression. I had an eating disorder and body dysmorphia, a lot of different things, a lot of trauma that I was working through. And I had that same thought of, I don't think that I can help people. Like, who am I to help somebody if I'm still healing all of these really intensive things within myself?
Yeah.
However, there are always going to be people that wish they were where you were at right now.
Yeah.
Energetically, mentally, physically, spiritually, and they're gonna be like, dang, I wish I just had her tools and resources so I could at least get to where she's at in life right now. And when I
Yeah.
started giving sessions to people, it helped me super accelerate on my own journey because I was listening to my own methodologies and working out my own processes and having to keep myself accountable because I'm telling these things to other people. But there has never been a session where I have not been able to help somebody exactly where I'm at right now. And that was before I even started with the psychic multidimensional stuff. This was me helping people with their 3D human stuff that was going on based on sheerly where I had gotten myself in my own personal healing journey and my experiences and the tools and resources that I have gleaned. And so I think that one of the challenges that you're facing now is that kind of mindset of I'll do it when I'm ready, but confidence is something you get afterwards.
Yeah.
And sometimes the only way that you can prove to yourself that you are ready is to jump in with somebody and showcase to yourself, oh, well, I know what I'm talking about. I do have a lot of tools and resources. I have been through a lot in life. So to
Yeah.
me, it kind of sounds like we need to get a little bit more clearer on what exactly we want to be helping people with, because that's where it can trip us up sometimes of, well, I just want to help people. We can't help everybody with everything because we
Yeah.
haven't lived and breathed those experiences, or maybe we don't have tools and resources for that. So a homework assignment, I don't like a discovery assignment that would be good is looking back at your life and saying, what have I personally been through and came out on the other side that also would bring me joy to talk to people about? Because there's a lot of things I can help people with, but I don't enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
That I have been through. But then there are things like I know if I'm in a session with this person that I could talk about this for an hour and I can help them make forward movement with this because there's things in your life that I'm sure you would be so fantastic at helping other people with. Oh, are you still with me?
Shoot.
Oh, you
There we
still
go.
there? Okay.
Yeah, my internet went out and then
Okay. We got you.
technology.
Okay. So I'm sure that there are a plethora of things that you would be really good at helping persons with, but it is identifying what those things are. So
Yeah.
what would that look like for you now? Let's 3 things that you're like, I could talk about this for like 3 hours and I'm very knowledgeable about it. Okay.
I could have a conversation about like just spirituality in general for like days. Like
Okay.
that's just my favorite thing. Trauma.
What kind of trauma?
Uh, just I like to talk about how trauma gets stuck in the body and like how those
Okay.
things affect us and like how the most random like thing can affect your whole system, your whole body, your whole, that kind of stuff. That would be one that I could talk about all day. And then just the importance of, I guess, figuring out your triggers and getting to like, yes, you're triggered by your kids, but why are you triggered by your kids? Your
Hmm.
kids aren't triggering you. It's something else that happened before. So I guess it's just more trauma.
Sure. Okay. So maybe helping people understand how their emotions and central nervous system can really wreak havoc in the physical ailments that can come from that, or just mental catastrophizing or getting
Uh-huh.
caught in these loops, right? So the
Yeah.
processes of how trauma affects somebody, and that could be
Yeah.
multitudes of different types of traumas, right?
Hmm.
Are you interested in helping with specific traumas, or just do you feel that you would be competent in talking about trauma as an overarching theme? Because there's lots of different traumas that
Yeah.
people can go through.
I think just an overall arching theme because like I'm so interested in how people's brains work. Like not in a sense that I want to go like operate on them at all or like
Yes.
anything like that, but like I'm so interested in like you had this trauma as a kid and that's why you're experiencing this emotion now or not picking apart
Like
their
a puzzle.
personalities, but like yeah, that's what interests me. I'm like, ooh, okay, this you're exhibiting this characteristic and this is usually because this happened in childhood. That's what interests me. I'm like I like to go back and piece things together to be able to um I guess figure out a person or figure out why they're acting that way. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, yes, it does. That's one of my most favorite things. It's hey, let's figure out what's going on with you, okay? And where all these things originate, like a Rubik's Cube. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, do you see how much joy that just brought you talking about it and it put a big smile
Yeah.
on your face and you're like, yeah, I could do this. This is easy. There
I don't know. I'm like obsessed with like emotions and like figuring out why people have emotion. Well, I know why people have
yes,
emotions,
but
but
why
like
they get
getting to
triggered.
the root cause of those emotions to the point where I annoy people.
Yes. But it sounds like it's one of your innate talents and your gifts too of perception, of being able to see why things are corded to one another. It goes beyond behavioral pattern recognition.
Hmm.
It's I can read the frequencies that are happening in your body and backtrack them to where they came from. So you probably ask really good questions as well. You just have a discovery type of template, which there's so many persons out here that don't understand any of those processes. Anything about their central nervous system or their emotions or the meridian lines or chakras, how all of these things are interconnected, how their inner children are. So many people that need that kind of laid out as a framework, and that really helps them soar in their life. Okay, we need more
Hmm.
people like you helping people. Okay.
I love it. I
Yes.
love it.
Okay. Do we see now how if we sit and kind of flush it out, you feel even a little bit more confident now of, you know what? I think I could do this.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are now you could be helping persons now. It sounds like you have a very deep understanding of these processes, but what do you think are some directions that you could head in to help you add to your toolkit for that gift specifically?
Um, I'm not sure. This is kind of where I'm stuck because I don't know what direction to go in because I've had like body coding done on me and I kind of like that,
Hmm.
how body coding kind of goes through some of that stuff. I was just like, I don't know where to go from that because I don't know if that's like the right fit. And it's
Oh,
just,
body coding.
yeah, I don't
Okay.
know if that's like the thing that I need. I guess it's more of like me deciding like, is that something you're interested in? Okay, go this way. Or are you interested in this healing technique and going this way? That's kind of where I'm feel stuck, I guess, of
Okay.
like where to put my talents and learn a little bit more. And then, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
I will say that sometimes the way you flush that out is practicing on people and seeing what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy doing. I think that, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, you have a very similar energetic template as me of loving to talk to people, like in conversation, and really just get in there and see what they're saying and not saying and what frequencies are going on, where their mindset's at and their subconscious and their inner children. And we do that through conversation. There's quantum work that I do as well, kind of like connecting in and getting all this information that we're about to talk about that helped your
Mhm.
astral body. But I love helping the human that's sitting in front of me too. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can do both of those things, but one of the easier routes to get maybe into the quantum work a little bit later on is doing this, like we're doing right
Mhm.
now, because it's very tangible and it's easy to see when people are having aha moments and the cogs are turning and you can see them having an energetic shift in real time. So
Mhm.
the things that I would suggest, because you are kind of on a similar path as where I started as well, is continuing to learn about the central nervous system because that's where people are getting triggered and it's hard to help yourself heal or help others heal when you are in fight or flight. And
Mhm.
when your emotions and trauma is just so rampant in your system and it's hard to see with clarity and be objective about things. So central nervous system, I think inner child healing, because that's where you're trying to get to the root of for everybody anyway. Like we're trying to
Mhm.
clear it out of the base. Okay. Subconscious mindset reprogramming, maybe neuro-linguistic reprogramming to help people change the way that they're speaking of self and to their inner children. And then let me see what the other one was your higher self was saying. Oh, emotion code, how your emotions affect different parts of your body. Do you know who Louise Hay is?
I don't know.
Okay, so her main modality, she's no longer with us, but her main modality in life was figuring out what emotions cause what physical ailments in your system. So if you
Mhm.
go online, and I'll send you a link, you can read through her whole entire thing. It's for every single part of your body almost, and see what emotion trigger is for that. And because you have that type of template of connectivity, if you just read through that a couple of times, it's going to be so easy for you to pull up in your subconscious when you're talking to people and be like, oh, you're experiencing this. Well, you probably have this going on over here. And it doesn't mean that everybody fits that profile, but a general consensus from what I've seen, it's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Those are the avenues that I would recommend for you to get further into this gift. And I think it's great that you became a Reiki master because having a good understanding of chakras is going to help you with that quantum work.
Yeah.
Yes, and figuring out why they're getting affected by certain things. Okay, questions about that?
What questions?
Just any
Oh,
about
no,
any of the
I gotcha.
modalities or anything that I mentioned.
No, I understand what you're saying. I was like, question, am I saying
Yes.
stuff?
No,
No,
no.
I get what you're saying.
Yes.
It all makes sense to me.
And again, sometimes actually putting it into practicum with people, you already have a ton of that already in your system. Like those modalities that I just mentioned a minute ago, like those are already in there.
Yeah.
You can study all the live long day, but there becomes like a point that you hit. It's like, okay, I have really learned all that I can from books and YouTube.
Right.
I've got to be in people's fields. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's talk about what came up in your field when I went in there, okay? And we were doing some clearing of like energetic impediments.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to your field, I heard the voice, or a voice, it was from your energy body, say, silly rabbit, tricks are for kids. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I
Okay.
can. Sorry, my daughter's trying to yell
Oh,
at
no,
me.
you're good. I just want to make sure because I know you're putting them on. So I heard silly rabbit, tricks are for kids. I was like, oh, I haven't seen that rabbit in forever. So the rabbit in this case was representative of exploring unknown territories within self. And so I asked your energy body, hey, is there somewhere you want to meet so we can have a conversation and talk about what's going on? And she said yes. And I gave her a couple of different examples. And she said, can we meet at a waterfall? I said, sure. Do you want to meet at one in the jungle or the forest? She said, a forest sounds great. So the waterfall is clearing your system of some heavy energy that you've been carrying around, probably from feeling stuck and kind of frustrated in
Mm-hmm.
spirit guides. And so we went and sat in this forest. I said, how about we have a picnic together? And I laid out this blanket and I put down a charcuterie board so we could have some snacks. And we were sitting there talking. And I said, I feel like there's something on your mind, like something that is weighing on you. And she said, yes. She said, I don't seem to be able to find myself. I said, what do you mean by that? She said, I'm searching for something, but I'm not sure what it is. Does that sound in resonance?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I said, I get that. I have that feeling a lot. And I'm reading from my notes down here if you're wondering. I said, I feel that. I feel that a lot. And she said, oh, really? Like sometimes I think that, if we don't have a whole lot of other spiritual people, light workers, empaths in our life, it just feels like we're kind of on this journey and it's just us and everybody else has got it figured out. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what's going on with me? And I was like, no, girl, I feel that all the time. Okay. And I said, it means that you're stuck in the in between. You're outgrowing your old identity and you haven't fully stepped into the new one yet. So, what that feeling is of you searching for something is you pining for the new you. Like it hasn't fully clinked yet. And I said, it's a feeling that a piece of you is missing, like part of your soul. Is that how you've been feeling?
Yes.
Okay. So I said, hey, why don't you turn around? I said, she's actually right there. And she turned her head, and your higher self, your next self, your next future self was standing there. And she jumped up and ran over and gave her a hug. And I said, why don't you ask her if she joins us for our picnic? She said, okay, great. And so we all came and sat down together. And I said, do you feel better now that she's here? And she said, I feel more grounded. I said, good. Okay, let's get some answers as to what's going on. So I said, would you like to go deeper into your field to see what's coming up in the future? And she said, yes. And I said, okay, well, let's all hold hands and we're going to close our eyes so we can sync our energy up together. So then we went to a mausoleum. And a mausoleum is like this big structural building. And typically what it holds inside is people that have passed on to the other side. Okay, it's a holding place for a burial place. And she got freaked out a little bit. She was like, what are we doing here? And I said, hey, there were some feelings of not necessarily like the fear of death, but more so like the ending of things. And that's where she kind of started getting panicked a little bit. And I said, hey, notice how your future self, your next self is here with us. Obviously, that means you're not going anywhere right now. Okay, you
Mm-hmm.
have much more of your timeline out ahead of you. And she said, I just love my life. And so I think there were times in your previous chapters where you're like, I really hate it here. I'm ready to leave. But now that you have kind of glimpsed like your future out in front of you and you have a family and everything's kind of just moving a little bit more succinctly, you're like, okay, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to be here and interact into the human experience more so. What comes up when I say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
um, I was just thinking about that the other day of like, I want to see, sorry,
It's okay to cry.
emotional.
It's good. It's releasing.
I just want to see how like my kids turn out and what I can make of myself now that
Mhm.
I like just I'm not the same person I was when I was born or the family I was born into and then I was adopted. So I'm not the same person that came out of that adopted family. I'm just such a different person now. And like I'm getting happier and happier with the person I am. And so like I want to see where that takes me. Like I want to see who I get to become now that I'm not stuck in like who I was meant to be or who my parents wanted me to be, who the family I was born into wanted me to be. I get to be whoever I want to be, and I'm excited to see who that person is.
Absolutely. That was the sentiment she was giving me. She was like, I want to be here. So when we got to the mausoleum, she was like, what does this mean? Girl, it doesn't mean what you think it means. Okay. I said a lot of different reasonings for the mausoleum. But she was saying the same thing of like, I'm ready for this next stage. And you're kind of probably going through what you went through previously of not I'm not happy where I'm at, but I know that there's more. So if I just keep at it, I will eventually get to that place. Now, when you were there before, that was in a much denser version of your reality, but now we're kind of back there. Even though we're happier now and we're more expansive and excited, is still a kind of a regurgitation of that loop you were in previously. And that's kind of disconcerting because when we get to those places, it's like, well, dang, I already got myself out of these like really difficult places in my life. Why am I feeling this again? But that's a feeling
Yeah.
we have to get used to because there's always going to be that death and rebirth process when you're ready to go to that next stage. And so that's what I was explaining to
Mhm.
her. I was like, hey, this is going to keep coming up on your spiritual awakening journey. And if we can ground into ourselves and say, hey, I'm safe. This is actually a beautiful moment. I'm about to really launch into this new identity. It doesn't mean you're going to be in this void space forever. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I told her that the mausoleum was supposed to represent rebirth and renewal, the chapters that she's stepping into. And I said, you are starting to see outside of your old paradigms and look at what's ahead. Your gift of foresight is coming online and you having deeper trust within yourself of I know that I'm going to get myself to more expansive places, but they're not here yet. And that's what's causing me to very much anxiety right now in life. But you
Hmm.
at least know all of that magic is over there instead of before where we just felt like we were going to be lost forever. Now it's like, okay, I can see the hope. Okay. But also being okay with where we're at. So I said, I want you to close your eyes so we can go deeper into your field. And when we did, we started hearing these bells start chiming, like almost like church bells, if you will. It was giving me like Hunchback of Notre Dame. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie where like the big
Yeah.
bells are sounding off. And all of a sudden, you and I were underground and it was completely pitch dark down there. And you said, where are we? And I said, I don't know, girl. Let me get my bearings. And I held this lantern up and I turned it on and it kind of lit up the room. And you got nervous and you like grabbed onto me and you said, it's creepy down here. And I said, okay, why is it creepy? Why are you feeling that way? And she said, what if something gets us? Like a monster or a ghoulie or something. And I said, I
Hmm.
promise nothing is going to get us in here. Okay. I said, have you been having trouble with your channeling abilities? And she said, what do you mean by that? And I said, receiving downloads, insights, your intuition, processing your emotions, manifesting things, just new energy coming into your system. We just feel kind of blah. Right. And she said, actually, yeah. And I said, okay, this is giving very much hermit mode. If you've ever seen the hermit tarot card, it's
Hmm.
needing to find a light out of where we are right now. And sometimes that takes another person, okay, to turn that lantern on. And I said, this underground tunnel is a representor of you being scared. And she said, yes, I do feel scared. I said, what are you scared of? And she said, this whole scenario. Okay. I said, what do you think is going to happen? She said, I don't know. So you have some more expansory channeling abilities than you are allowing yourself to step into, because we are afraid of what is going to happen, like in the unknown of like something's going to attack me, or I'm going to get lost in the astral. Like we're just afraid to kind of step over into that next veil of perception, if you will, because you're really good at reading yourself, really good at reading other people and what they got going on their human, right? But there's this whole other facet, kind of like what I'm doing right now, of like, hey, let's go in the quantum and in your light field and your auric field and see what's happening there. But that also requires a lot more trust and faith in yourself of, I'm going to be fine if I have to detach from my body in order to perceive these things. And I know that no demons are going to get me or anything like that. So there's just those underlying fears that are kind of keeping you from moving to that next stage. So what comes up when I say that?
Yeah, that's all true. Just it's like when you go through that hermit phase, you just lose, you lose your friends because you don't align with them anymore,
Mm-hmm.
but you're still trying to find where you are in life, and like eventually when you find your peace, you find, you start attracting those people. It just is hard when it's you feel so alone, and it's like I feel like I can do this, but it's also like, but I have no one to have my back if I need help, kind of thing.
I do.
So that's where I get like scared. It's like I know I could do this and I know I could be great at this, but it's like, what if I need some help? Because like it's kind of like a room, and like you never want to be the smartest person in the room. And if you are, then you go to a new room. It's like, where is I need to find a new room so like I can have help. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Is that, do you feel that that is one of the reasons that you are a little bit nervous with connecting to more of these facets that are intangible, of going a little bit more quantum and astral levels? Because it's like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm doing up there, and what if something
Yeah,
happens? Okay.
that's exactly it. I would rather have someone give me a step-by-step guide than just go figure it out myself, because I'm scared of figuring it out by myself.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And it is important to have people that you can ask questions to and that can give you advice. That's why it's important to like find communities that are doing
Mhm.
similar things as you, so that way you don't feel so isolated and like, oh, it's just me. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of that coven type of energy that we're
Mhm.
seeking and that we need. So when I was talking to her, I handed her a memory ball of all of my experiences with channeling, every single session I have ever held or journey I have done with myself. And I said, I want you to pay special attention to when something spooky came up, when something negative, or, just something that wasn't always necessarily of the light, right? And she said, oh, nothing ever happened to you? And I was like, no, girl. I was like, I'm still here. Okay. Even with some like weird, wonky stuff going on. So she needed to see another seasoned practitioner that was able to traverse those things without being hurt, right? Physically,
Mhm.
spiritually, emotionally, mentally. And I said, one of the reasons that you're scared is because you're starting off in the dark. That's scary for anybody. That's scary for me. Okay, that goes against our central nervous system and our human evolution. What I tell persons when they are trying to do this more astral work is, we need to, and that can be you just talking to your higher self or inner children. It doesn't even have to be, etheric beings and things like that. We need to be starting off in a sunny, warm, comforting place. I said, just like I took you to the waterfall. Originally, I found you in the dark. I was like, hey, girl, let's go somewhere that's lovely. Okay, and start there so that you feel more safe and secure. We need to be doing that when we go into meditation to connect to these facets of self or somebody else, especially if you have scared inner children. They don't want to be starting off in the void. Take them to an amusement park or the ocean or wherever you want to go, but somewhere that is open and airy and that they feel safe and grounded. And that's going to help you better connect. And it's going to give you an anchor point of, hey, if I start feeling like I'm a little bit too far away from my body or my consciousness, or I start feeling floaty, that's a place I
Mhm.
can always come back to and reset and then try again. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. Have you ever tried something like that before?
Yeah, a couple times. Yeah, a few
Okay.
times.
I would make it a very intentional practice for the every time. And try and make it
Okay.
as vivid and real as you can. Now, I don't know if you see images in your mind's eye or not. I don't. So I'm actually feeling into the experience instead of seeing, and that is okay too if you don't see images.
Okay.
Do you see images?
I feel like I can, but they're like kind of cartoony. They're kind of
That's okay. That sounds
they're
fun.
like more like it's like I can picture an apple, but it's not a full apple.
Mhm.
It's like dull and kind of squiggly, and you know what I mean? Like
I
it's
do.
not, I feel like I could fine tune that um with practice. So,
It is something sometimes that you just have to sharpen your abilities on. What I would suggest is next time you go in to do this work on self or other persons is to ask yourself, where would I like to start or my inner children like to start? And looking at a picture on Google or Pinterest beforehand so that image can be a lot sharper when you go in there because now you have a frame of reference instead of just kind of going in blindly and trying to pull it up in your mind.
right. Okay.
Sometimes that's beneficial. Or even looking at magical pictures. It doesn't even have to be like a real ocean. It can be like, oh, let me look at this cosmic ocean. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So I also told her you get to decide what you channel. If you only want to channel people's higher self and their inner children to start off with, that's fine. If you only want to channel unicorns and dragons and fairies, say that over your energy body. Like nothing else is allowed in my field except X, Y, and Z, because that's where some of the fear is coming from of, well, anything can come through. Okay, well, let's set specific parameters of I am only able to perceive these things right now until I feel a little bit safer and secure with channeling. And she was like, oh, I can decide. I'm like, yeah, you have operant power over your energy field.
Okay.
Okay. So I said the reason that the tunnel is dark where we're at right now underground, I said, because that's where your subconscious went immediately. Other people's aren't going there. Some people are, but not everybody. I said, when I said, let's go deeper into your energy field, into the astral, you immediately went somewhere dark. That lets me know there's a lot of fear that's running in here and oh no, what is going to happen? So that's how we need to counterbalance that with, hey, this is supposed to be a really fun and exploratory experience. Let's start somewhere where you feel safe and secure to begin with. Like, let's not start in the dark tunnel. Any
Okay.
questions about that?
No.
Okay. So I said part of you getting to this next level in your spiritual gifts is surrendering to the process. That means surrendering to yourself and trusting yourself of, hey, if I get into one of these situations where something perceived negative is coming up, I'm going to be okay. I'm a sovereign being. I've been through a whole bunch of BS in my life. I can handle being in the ethers. Okay, where things are even less physical than here on this plane. Something that helped me was I was very scared when I first started channeling because of so much programming of like all of these evil things that could get me. And so I asked specific spirit guides to go with me whenever I was traveling. So mine was Archangel Michael And I would take Joan of Arc sometimes, or Kali, all of these different beings. So that way they could serve as a filter between me and whatever I was perceiving. Do you ever work with spirit guides in that context?
Yes. Well, my spirit guides, yes.
Okay. Have you ever asked them to be there, like physically present while you were going on these travels?
I don't think I have like asked them. I kind of just assumed they were there, kind of thing.
I think that it would be beneficial for you and your inner children if you ask them to show up like in a human-esque form. Because it's one thing to be like, oh, well, I hope they're there. I think they're there. And it's another thing to be like, oh, no, I see you. If I need you, you're right there. Kind of like when I told her to look around and your higher self was standing there and she could see her. She was like, oh, thank God that she's here. So having anchor points like that when you're in there.
Okay.
So some things that are going to help, I'm going to send you these interviews that I did with other channelers about channeling, because that will help you feel a little bit more safe and secure within yourself, of seeing that, hey, this looks different for everybody. And here are a lot more tools and resources, and they're okay doing what they do. It's really important to find representors of doing the thing that you want to do, so you can see that it's tangible and that it's safe and that they're being successful at it. And the way you channel is going to be very different from me. So when we find somebody that does it similarly, it makes us feel more secure within self. So I'm going to send you a whole bunch of interviews that you can watch, but you don't have to just watch those. You can go out and find other channelers talking about channeling as well.
Mm-hmm.
Questions about that?
No.
Okay. There is a YouTube channel, and it's called New Horizons. And it's this woman that does meditations for children, but I do them for my inner children when I first started channeling. And it is taking you on these imaginative journeys, like going to Unicorn Land and Dragon Land and Space Pirates and all these different things. That doesn't seem like it would be correlated with helping you with your channeling abilities, but it is, because it's saying, hey, let's make this a more fun experience than the scary one that we're having right now. So that when you go in to do it on your own, it's like, oh, I can do something like this too. It doesn't have to be meeting in the catacomb tunnel to start with.
Yeah.
Okay. And these are also meditations you can do with your children if you want to together. I used to do them with my son, but then I switched over to just doing for my own personal, and it really helped me get into my imagination. So there's you here, the human, okay? Then there's the imagination, and then there's the astral and the etheric Akashic fields. If you are having a difficult time just even being in your own mind and your own imagination and feeling safe there, it's going to be difficult for you to get up into these higher planes. So just starting in your own personal, more dense imagination is going to help you feel safer when you get up here.
Okay.
So I recommend doing a couple of those, and I'll send you her channel.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So I said, this is probably why you have been feeling lost in life, because you have these deeper abilities to read people on higher planes, but you're scared. And you can hear them calling out to you, and you're like, hey, I got so much for you over here if you would just let go and surrender. And there's that block of your own mind there.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's time, is what your higher self and your guides are saying. Okay, like, girl, like, hey.
I know.
Okay.
Every day. Every day.
Okay.
They're like, time.
It's
And
Okay.
I'm like, what's it time for? And it's like, it's time for you to get your shit together. Like, it's time for you to figure it out. It's time to do something. And I'm like, uh-huh.
Well, it's hard sometimes when it's scary. Like your
Yeah.
body is having like an actual physical. It's what you're trying to help people with right now. Like when people are trying to make forward movement in their life and they have a lot of unprocessed emotions and trauma, and you're pushing them outside of their comfort zone, you have this really intensive physical reaction.
Mhm.
Okay. That's you right now, but with the spiritual gifts and going up and elevating in your experience. I feel this being very triggering in my body. So that's where we have to work on. Where can we have some more grounding practices, okay, and help us feel more safe and secure, that when we do start expanding into our Akasha field, we don't feel like something negative is going to happen to us. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So after I said that to her, I heard your higher self say, oh, are you okay on time, by the way, if we go over like 10 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I heard your higher self said she has the gift of gab, like the gift of talking and chatting. And I said, okay. And that's when I saw you on a podium and you had a microphone that you were talking into, like one of those like megaphones. And all of these people were standing out in front of you and you were just like, talking. And everybody was kind of looking up at you. And I said, oh, do you have the fear of voicing your opinion and being seen?
Yes.
And as soon as I said that, instead of me standing next to you on the podium, you and I were then in the audience with the current version of you that I'm talking to right now. And we were looking up at your higher self. And I said, oh, you have the gift of claircognizance. Okay. Of just knowing things without having any prior evidence or experience. It just blinks into your consciousness. And I said, the fear that you are running right now is not having any evidential based reasoning for saying things to people. And you have probably been persecuted for that in the past. Maybe not super conscientiously, but by others, but they're like giving you weird looks. Or like, how would you know that? Or you like really trigger people when you're in conversations with them because they're like, this lady's a witch. Okay, without them really knowing them. They're like, something's off here, okay? How do you know these things? Okay. So I totally get that. And that can create so much traumatic fear in our body that's been held in our cells and our DNA, because it's like, well, obviously I don't want to get into this gift because all it's done is cause me trauma and isolated me from others and make me feel ostracized or there's something wrong with me. So this is where your spirit guides are coming in and saying, hey, we're utilizing our gifts on the wrong people. Okay, that are not on the same wavelength or consciousness level. When you start giving sessions to persons, or just not even like paid sessions, but just working with people in a capacity, right? Those people want you to do that. They want you to tell them exactly what's going on in their field. They want to get through the blocks. They want to get through the challenges. They love you for it. They're like, please give me your unique medicine because this is what I need in my life. And I'm going to honor you and have great reverence. And I'm going to compliment you and tell you how awesome you are and that you have completely changed my life based off of this one conversation that we have had with one another. Wow, you've helped me create so much forward movement in my life. You haven't had that experience yet. And maybe you have to a certain extent. It's different with family members and friends though, because there's a bias there. Okay. But when you start working with people that are energy healers or just awakened people, it's like, oh my God, I'm so good at this. And it feels good because this person honors this within me. And I'm able to help them make forward movement. It's really life-changing, brings you so much joy and happiness and fulfillment. But that trauma of you feeling persecuted and ostracized is keeping you from taking that next step because you're like, well, all this happened back here. I'm just going to get more of that. But that's not true. And we're going to be with our people. These are persons who understand what these processes are, and they want you to do that for them. You have a really strong gift of claircognizance. But you probably already knew that. Okay. Okay. I'm going to send you some videos on claircognizance because listening to other people talk about it will help you feel a little bit more confident, and you'll see like, hey, these people are revered for this. They have these big audiences that love them for this gift. Okay. So when we were looking up at the podium, this goes a little bit deeper. Okay. So when we're looking up at the podium and you're looking at your higher self doing this, because that's you in the future, talking to a lot of people, helping a lot of people, you started to get really panicked. like just fight or flight started coming on, and I grabbed you and I was like, hey, you're okay. Okay, we're safe right now. And I put my hand on your chest right here. And I said, oh, you have persecution wounds from other lifetimes. This is not just this incarnation. Like this has happened somewhere else. And I kept on saying, it's okay. You're okay. This is not this lifetime. Don't get sucked back into those old timelines. I said, stay with me right here. Okay. I said, look at your higher self right now. And everybody was clapping for you. Like everybody was so excited for the things that you were saying, and they were so like hyped, and they were like praising you for it. And they're like, thank goodness that she's here for us. Okay, this leader. And I said, we're here right now. Stay present with me, because I could see flashes of your other timelines where some really scary things had happened to you and you had been punished and persecuted for sharing your gift of claircognizance and being a leader and a speaker. And I said, listen, this lifetime, you're on a completely different trajectory. You are not, this is not going to be a repeat of other things that have happened. I said, one of the reasons that you came back during this time is because it's a lot safer to talk about these things now. Like this is much more commonplace. We have social media, we have ways to band together in communities. This is a completely different paradigm than what you have been experiencing in these other lifetimes. If you keep on the tracks that you are right now of continuing to embody more of this higher self, you're going to be just fine. However, if you live in this constructual box of I'm going to be persecuted, I'm going to be persecuted, I'm going to be persecuted, that's when we end up manifesting something like that happening, because it's what we're placing all of our energy and intention into. And so then we start getting examples of that. I said, you have to be okay with feeling safe and secure in this lifetime with your higher self and not allowing these other lifetimes back here to overshadow your soul mission in this one. Said you're probably going to be helping people get over their persecution wounds. So in order to be really good at that, you would have had to go through lifetimes where that happened to you, even in this one, in order for you to understand that trauma at a very deep level so that you can be the absolute best leader for other people. Because you have to go through whatever you're going to help people with. So obviously that's been something karmically that's kind of been following you, but maybe not from the place of I'm a victim, but hey, I want to be really good and an expert at what I do so that I can help multitudes of people in this area. So how strong am I that I'm going to choose to go through this experience several times so that in this incarnation, I'm going to be able to clear out that karmic pain within myself, but also a lot of other persons that are not as advanced as me. And maybe this is their first go around with persecution. And that might even be for your own kids. This might be, I'm going to be a mom and I need to make sure that they don't go through that experience. And I have to have a good fortitude for them so they don't have to have that generational trauma either, or karmic trauma, right? So this is going to be one of your biggest blessings, but I had to explain to your energy body, like, hey, stay grounded in this lifetime. We are not on the same trajectory. Right now, what I'm showing you with this podium and the higher self, this is you. Okay, in this lifetime, and she's safe and she's happy and she's thriving, and all of these people are so blessed to have you in their life and they're celebrating you. This is your trajectory. And you're going to clear out these karmic things that have happened. So a lot of these intense fears that you're experiencing and not being able to get to those levels of channeling that you want to is because it's, if I step into this realm over here, then this is going to happen. Not just the ghosties and the ghoulie thing, but also, oh no, I can't fully embody my magic because I'm going to be persecuted again. And I'm not saying you won't ever have like things happen, but not to the extent of what has happened in these other lifetimes. Okay, like you physically being hurt or something happening to your family or things of that nature. And that's not the trajectory that we are on. Unless we continue that paradigm and manifest that into happening. Right? So that's why it's important to clear these things out.
Yeah.
Okay, what comes up when I say all of that?
Yeah, I yes, it all feels very just rings true with me in my body. Like I can feel it. I can feel that pain of just scared emotion of like what'll happen if I'm actually what I want to be. Like I want this. I do. It's just so scary because I live in about the worst place to do this, and I know I'm here for a reason. I know I was put where I am for a reason, but like I literally live in farm country and whatnot. Like I just
Girl, same. I live in the Bible Belt in the South,
me
in a
too.
conservative religious city.
I'm like middle of Nebraska
Yeah.
is like such a weird place to be when you like want to be so free and hippie and like hug trees and
I get it.
do those things. So that's what's so scary. And not to mention my family that I was raised in is very conservative and um Christian and like very church oriented. And I've gotten myself out of like that because they can go together, but you have to unlearn some of the things you've learned to be able to do that. And it's just a challenge. I think it's just a challenge for me to put myself fully in this time and space because of what my parents will think, what my family will think, like all that stuff.
Do you see how if you're meant to help persons with persecution wounds, that's something that we are working through right now in order to become a leader and expert of that? So one, your higher self wants to say, hey, let's give ourselves more grace than we are right now, because this is not something that just applies to this incarnation. Like this is very deep seated trauma.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Hey, this is something that's going to have to be worked at levels, but we need to not be so hard on ourselves. Now, are there times that we could probably take more action steps? Sure.
Yeah.
And let's talk about that for a second. Okay. So when I first started getting into spirituality and channeling, I had the exact same fear. All that stuff was going on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, there's no way that I can talk about this super woo-woo witchy stuff because I'm afraid something like bad is going to happen to me or my family, or, I'm going to be found out, all these different things. So when I first started, I was helping people with their human things, kind of like we talked about. And I called myself a life coach, a trauma coach. And that's where I wasn't talking about woo-woo, multidimensional witchy things. I was talking about, hey, this is how you can make forward movement with your goals. Okay. And all these things that are more, applicable to our now experience. And as I got deeper into my journey of myself and helping other persons, that's when I would sprinkle things in until I felt a little bit more safe and secure. So it's kind of olive branching with myself and doing a little bit at a time and then saying like, oh, okay, I'm safe. And then one day I wake up and everybody in my reality knows I'm an energy healer. And they're like, yeah, that tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that makes sense why you got a bunch of crystals and it looks like it does in your house and all these different things. And then people in my life started asking me to help them. People that I never thought would ever accept me for my magic, but it's because I incrementally did it and got everybody kind of used to it at these different levels and even inside of myself, right? And as I felt more safe and secure, then it's like, okay, now I can blossom into doing this work, but it doesn't have to be 0 to 1,000. I think that's what your energy body is worried about. How about we help people with their emotions right now, or their central nervous system, or their subconscious, or their trauma? That's you being able to utilize your magic without it being from a place of trigger and trauma and persecution. It's like, no, this is like, people do this for a living, life coaches, trauma healers. It doesn't have to be, let's go super quantum right out the gate.
Yeah,
Okay, how does that feel when I say that?
good. Good. It feels good. It's just like, it's almost like, yes, I want that, but I want so much more too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Oh
yes,
yeah, you'll have
that all
that.
sounds so good. I just want to get from, like, it's funny because I have two different emotions. It's like, oh, I'm like scared and I don't want everyone in my family to judge me. And then I'm like, screw it. Like, I want everything. I want to be this person. I want to do this. So it's like, it's funny having those two emotions
Mm,
and like trying to be like, okay, well, let's just step by step, because I've already started the steps with my family and everyone else in my life. It's
yeah.
just and everyone, like, I live about an hour away from my family. So everyone here knows me as like this person who does this stuff. And I don't really care to have people in my life who are like judgmental about it.
Mm,
It's like they're acquaintances and they can stay over there. But like, I'm just gonna be me. So I just need to start taking more steps, I think, with myself and saying, hey, I'm safe. Like, I can do this. I can move forward in this and not be, if my family thinks I'm weird, that's their problem, not mine, kind of thing.
yeah. And it's okay to do that incrementally.
Hmm.
What we don't want to do is re-traumatize ourselves.
Right.
Right. And then like throw ourselves in there. It's okay. That's your human saying one thing and then your multidimensional saying another. Like, I'm super scared, I don't want to do this. And then you being like, F it. I'm just gonna go jump in the deep end. Can we find like a middle point in between those
Yeah.
two? Like a
That'd be
bridge?
perfect.
Okay. And I will say that being the only person in your life is very frustrating when you're on this experience, but interacting with other persons who are on the same wavelengths is often how you find your persons, like utilizing your magic and your energy healing abilities.
Hmm.
3 of my soul tribe members I met through giving sessions to them originally. And then they ended up staying in my life and we're still friends, my nearest and dearest friends, but I met them through utilizing my magic. Do you have to meet people in person? No, I do all of my stuff over Zoom. It gives me more reach for persons because there's not a whole lot around me. Okay. So there's ways that you can do it in a safer container, if you will. If you want practice partners, I have tons of people that you would absolutely love that would make you feel very safe and secure, and they know what it's like to go through practice sessions and would give you feedback. They know what it is. It's gonna be chill. If
Okay.
you ever want people.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I also have someone who does practice partners. Like, she hosts bi-monthly practice partner sessions with her and a bunch of other energy healers. Even if it's not with her, I'll send you her information, but that might be good for you too. Like, finding persons to practice with who are on similar journeys.
Hmm.
What comes up when I say that?
That I need to do it.
Okay. I saw a lot of tension in your face when I said that.
No, it's
You
just
said
finding the time, and it's like I have children, my husband works on the railroad, and I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I do a lot of other stuff. Well, I need to stop doing so much stuff and just start. It's I like just want to start focusing on this more.
yeah.
It's just something I need to put the effort in and actually do it, instead of making excuses of why I can't do it.
It don't have to be every day. It can be like, hey, I'm going to do one 30-minute session with somebody a week when
Hmm.
I have some time and energy. Yes. And I will tell you that one of the things that tripped me up when I first started doing things like that was, well, some of these energy healers are so far beyond where I'm at right now. Like, how am I going to be able to help them? I'm going to tell you something that I wish somebody had said to me. Okay. Every single energy healer and practitioner has stuff they're going through that is human and that is traumatic. Like you will always be able to help somebody with their human 3D trauma stuff and their emotions and their central nervous system. Everybody goes through that. It doesn't matter what
Okay.
level they're at. I get some days where I'm so stuck in the 3D that I'm so far away from my multidimensionality that I'm like, who even am I? Right. And I need people like you and other energy healers to get me together because I forget. So you have skill sets for everybody. These are
Okay.
foundational things that you help people with. That's very, very important.
Okay.
Yes. What was your biggest takeaway today?
It's time to start acting. It's time to put steps into motion. Yeah, that's probably my biggest takeaway. And that it's okay to be fearful, but it's like put that fear in its place. You know, it's not this time, it's not this place. It's different.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. It just is.
You get confidence after doing the thing. Remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you really got to prove things to yourself by jumping in there. I am also going to send you some resources on persecution wounds and witch wounds because that really helped me to clear out some of my different incarnations and showcase like, hey, this is not me in this lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
even though I've been through a flavor of it, just like you in the beginning stages. It's not on that intensity level. Now, if that helps you clear things out, great. If it's traumatizing and triggering you and it's making you feel like those lifetimes are even more conscientiously present, that might not be for you.
Mm-hmm.
Not every resource or methodology is going to work, but if it makes you feel more confident in yourself to listen to it and like it's clearing things out, listen to them. But it's also okay not to. It's also okay just to close those chapters and be like, this is not me in this lifetime. Okay, like we're going to keep it pushing forward and I'm going to clear y'all's stuff out by moving forward with my gifts in this incarnation.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. I'm going to send you your oracle cards and your crystal grid, and then I will send you your replay, and I'm going to send you a bunch of resources as well.
Perfect.
Perfect. If you need anything else in the future, let me know. You got this. I believe in you. You ready?
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes. Okay. You have a magical day. Okay.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.